Good evening. I'd like to welcome you here tonight. We're just a couple of minutes away from starting our meeting. Before we call the meeting to order, I would invite any of you to stand and join me in the pledge, and then Mike Overton will bring an invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear God, in this season of thankfulness, we want to praise you and thank you for all the many benefits that you've bestowed upon us throughout the year and throughout our lives. Be with all those in harm's way now. Put your healing hand on those and all in need of your grace and help. Be with us now as we deliberate and help us to make decisions in the best interest of all concerned. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mike. All right, we do have, for those that would find them useful, we do have large print agendas over here. Chief Peters has them there. Please feel free to get one of those if you like. I'll now call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Springdale City Council, Tuesday, November 28th, 2017. And I'll ask Denise Pierce, our city clerk, to start things off by calling the roll.
Mayor Sprouse.
Here.
Rick Culver.
Here.
Jeff Watson.
Here.
Mike Overton.
Here.
Colby Fulfer.
Here.
Mike Lawson.
Here.
Rick Evans.
Here.
Jim Reed. Kathy Jaycox.
Here.
Ernest Kate.
Here.
All right, thank you. We are at item 4 on our agenda. This is the portion of the meeting that the council sets aside for comments from our citizens. If we have any citizens that would like to address the council, we ask that you come to the microphone, clearly state your name and address, and please keep your comments brief, and also understand that the council won't be taking action on anything you have to say tonight. Is there anyone that would like to address the council concerning something that's not on tonight's agenda? Yes, come right on up.
Hello. My name is Alice Gachuzo-Colleen, and I reside at 1305 Crutcher Street Apartments, apartment H102.
Okay. What was that first name again? I'm sorry.
My first name?
Yes.
Alice
Alice, thank you.
Could you give us your last name? I was impressed.
Gachuzo-Colleen.
Name.
Thank you. And really the reason for my coming is just to inform you all that I am going to be organizing an event here in Springdale celebrating Martin Luther King Day, and it's going to be more of a unity event for the community. I just think of his dream, and then I think of Springdale. And when you look around Springdale, you can't help but notice that his dream has come true. So I just think that it's time that Springdale as a city celebrates what we do best, and that's include everybody. It will be January the 15th, supposed to be starting at 11, and we just want everyone to come out and feel welcomed and get involved. It's all about Springdale. So.
Well, thank you, Alice. Thank you very much. Be sure you meet Melissa and
Okay.
Alice,
Thank
where's it
you.
gonna
help
be?
however we can.
Where are you gonna have it at?
It would propose to start at the rodeo grounds and come down Emma. And then the barbecue, the community unity barbecue, we're wanting to have it at the park off of Emma, the big park right there, just so that everyone can feel involved. And there's places for the kids to play, and you got the skateboard area, and just a little bit of something for everyone. And that's
Melissa,
just what I would like to do.
That's super. Thank you. And Melissa can help with, if a street closure's involved or
Okay.
anything like that,
Okay.
or we need to be sure
Okay.
that
Yeah,
we
'cause
let you know what all
I'm
the
gonna
permit.
be in touch with the media and the radio as well, so I just wanted to bring it to you guys' attention before you're driving down the road and you hear it on, you're like, so. But I
Anything
really
else?
appreciate you guys.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you for doing that. Anybody else got any
Anything
questions
else?
for Alice?
Questions?
Thank you very much, Alice.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else need to address the council concerning something not on tonight's agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item 5, the approval of minutes. Hopefully, council, you've had an opportunity to look over those. If there are no changes or addition, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved. Second.
You have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Procedural motions. What's your pleasure, council?
Move for A and B.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for options A and B. Roll call, please.
Reed,
Yes.
Jaycox?
Yes.
Culver?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Overton?
Yes.
Wolfer?
Yes.
Lawson?
Yes, ma'am.
Evans?
Yes, ma'am.
8-0.
All right, thank you. We'll move to item 7 now. Mark, we're have the pleasure of having Mark Hayes, Director of Legal Services for the Arkansas Municipal League, joining us tonight. Mark drove up to make this presentation, and I appreciate that very much.
Yes, sir.
And thank you for being here, and I'll just turn it over to you.
Yes, sir. I thank all of you for your time, and I will be ever so brief. I know you have a big agenda in front of you and a couple of really big items to do, budget, and I don't think Mr. Russell's here just because he likes to come up here, so. Actually, he probably would come up here because he likes to come up here, but I suspect he has other reasons. I'm gonna make a request at the end of this quick presentation to allow the mayor tomorrow to execute some documents that would make the city of Springdale a plaintiff in a class action and multi-district litigation with regard to the opioid crisis. I did this same presentation last night in front of North Little Rock. Why North Little Rock? Why Springdale? Our president and our president-to-be. We think if the league is going to take a leadership role in this litigation, we want our leaders to be engaged in it right up front. So let me tell you a little bit, and I don't have to provide a bunch of statistics. We all know the problem exists. Just for your own knowledge and a couple of quick things, there are $55 billion a year in societal costs related to the opioid crisis and epidemic. 55 billion, 20 billion of which is emergency room and hospital care. It is an enormous financial problem. Arkansas, unfortunately, is in the top 5 of the number of opioid prescriptions per 100 people in the entire United States. We trail only West Virginia and Ohio and one or two others. To put that into real terms for you, I told the mayor this before we came in here tonight. In real terms, what that actually means is for every man, woman, and child, regardless of age, in the state of Arkansas, each of them, each of us, would be holding a pill bottle with 38 opioid pills in it. Every single person in this state, from infancy to the centennial, would have opioids in their hands. The death rates are unimaginable. There are 5,000 overdose reported a day. That's just what's reported. Everybody knows there's a great deal more. At least 200 a day in the nation, and it's climbing at exponential rates. We all have personal stories. I could tell you statistics. I've got file folders full of them. But the reality is, this is not new to any of you. Every person in this room, I would venture a guess, knows of somebody, has a family member, has some personalized story with regard to it. I have millennial children. The number of their friends that have been in and out of rehabs is staggering. And unfortunately, 3 of them have died in the last 18 months. So it is a very real, very personal thing for me. I know what it's doing to our community, and I know each of you know that as well. So why am I here? This won't surprise you, but in any sort of multi-district litigation across the country, there are 66 cases in federal courts in 11 jurisdictions right now. There's a multi-district litigation hearing in St. Louis on Thursday. That's why we're moving this at the light speed we are. In that litigation, we want to have a good say-so in it, and we want to be a presence in it. Unfortunately, if Springdale is sitting next to the cities of Houston and Dallas, you're going to get lost in the shuffle. So we, with the Association of Arkansas Counties and their risk management pool, and PERMA, so that's all three of the major risk management pools in the state, and between the three of us, we cover all the cities and all the counties for risk management purposes. The league alone has 450 or so cities. We are jointly entering into this action, and we are going to try to get as many counties and as many cities out of the 500 cities and 75 counties, and I feel pretty strongly we'll get 80 to 90%, if not all of them. Everybody, the smaller communities probably don't have as many damages, but there's no doubt that those damages are very real to you. Your police and fire folks will tell you the number of calls they get is daily. And if it wasn't for Narcan, I have a good friend whose son was on death's doorstep when the first responders arrived. He was blue and not breathing, and they were able to do CPR and administer Narcan. And that is a daily event in law enforcement and in firefighting and emergency circles. So the expenses to you are very real. You have training and the cost of doing that, and you're taking those people off the street when they would be doing something else far more productive. So you have very real damages, and that's what we're going to try to put forward in the court system with you and the other cities and the other counties. We think that's our best route to go, and we think we have vetted a series of lawyers with the county association and with the PERMA. We have a memorandum of understanding that if the Legal Defense Program Steering Committee approves it tomorrow, we will begin that process of filing the litigation, which can be done electronically, and it'll be done either tomorrow afternoon or first thing in the morning before the hearing on the 30th. So I told you I was going to make it short and make a request of you. So my request is to allow the mayor, to allow the city of Springdale to become a plaintiff city in this litigation in hopes of gathering the 500 cities and towns and the 75 counties in doing that, dependent upon the decision of the Defense Program Steering Committee tomorrow. There's no cost to you other than some manpower hours, which it will cost, because we'll have to dig up the statistics and look at what we've done. But other than that, there's no cost and there's no outgo for you in that regard. I can't say the same for me. I, in all likelihood, will be wrapped up with it for the next several years. I did talk to your city attorney and had a very good conversation with him, and I think he supports the concept as well. So that's it, and that's the request of you. And I'm happy to take questions from anybody, Mayor, if that's helpful.
Thank you, Mark.
And can I ask who we're suing?
That was my question.
Yeah, that's. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that. We are looking first at the distributors. They are the most likely source of liability. If you've read any of the newspaper articles, what you'll figure out pretty quickly is that there are some federal regulations that require reporting incoming that you get and outgoing. And none of that has been done for years, or what little bit has been done has been very shoddy. So the result is, of course, they get discounts and benefits from the manufacturer. They pass it on to sales reps and other companies and doctors' offices, and they push it as hard as they can. So that'll be the initial group. Probably look at manufacturers. I don't know that we'll talk about physicians per se, although I can tell you in virtually every state in the country, there are a group of physicians who have been barred from the practice of medicine for overwriting these prescriptions, and many of them are ready to testify that they did that at the behest of the distributors and the manufacturers in order to generate that kind of sales.
Who are you talking about when you're talking about distributors, Mark?
There are a variety of big pharma is what they're typically referred to. Cardinal is one of them. There are a whole bunch of them. There's probably about 3 or 4 that are huge.
These are companies that just specialize in
All
selling
drugs.
pharmaceuticals.
Well, all pharmaceuticals and opioids being a part of
They're a
that.
wholesaler basically of all, and how many of these major?
Initially, there are 3 or 4 big ones, and we'll have to see which ones are doing the major supplies to Arkansas.
Who's the biggest manufacturer of opioids?
I don't know that anybody really can answer that question. There are several that would put claim to it, but I don't know that anybody's ever been able to figure that out. That's part of the problem. It's a very closed sort of sets of businesses.
I would think you'd want to go for both of them. I definitely would.
Eventually, we will.
And what do you hope to gain?
Several things. First of all, I would hope we would get some damages to help you recover some of your cost. But I think, frankly, more importantly, by joining forces with the counties, I hope what we can do is put in place some long-term solutions to drug problems like this. That will be the ultimate goal. Not unlike the tobacco litigation, cessation was the ultimate goal. And so I would hope that we could help put in actual programming to be of assistance to cities, either directly through the municipal league or through some combination of forces with the counties. But that's the ultimate goal, is to get you whole, but also to look out for you in the future.
Does that mean the creation of another government program?
No, I would hope not. I would hope it be privately funded or run through medical exchanges that exist right now.
Hearing all this and knowing that I have friends and relatives who have had this problem, I'd like to make a motion that we approve for the mayor to do this.
Second.
Okay, thank you.
In the form of a resolution, is it?
Be a motion, and second,
Yeah.
you could redo it. This has all come about very quickly.
Right.
I won't bother you with the man hours I've put in since Wednesday before Thanksgiving, but
Would we
this
do
is all
this
happening at
in
late
the form
season.
of a resolution?
We can,
Okay,
That would be the way to do it, is,
but you would vote now.
yeah.
Yes.
But
Okay.
then, yeah, but the end result is a resolution.
all right. And your motion is to join
Yes.
the lawsuit? Okay.
So we're voting to not agree necessarily going to the extent of saying that we will proceed. Are we voting for that, or are we voting to say we want to see what's in it first?
No, we're voting to be
Become a
part of a
party.
class action lawsuit
Right.
against the distributors of opioids and probably eventually manufacturers.
The contingency is the vote tomorrow.
Yeah, the legal defense program will hear a presentation from a group of lawyers that I have been vetting for the last 10 days. And it will be my recommendation we go with that group. There's
That
one in
meeting-
particular out of
That
Alabama.
meeting is at 10 a.m. and
Yes, sir.
I think I'll be chairing that.
You will be, yes, sir.
So what you're wanting to do is get all 450 cities that belong to the municipal league to be a plaintiff,
That's correct.
and all the counties that belong to the
County
Association-
risk.
Association of Counties. And what was that
And
third
the
organ?
APIRMA is the other risk management. It's Arkansas Public Employees Risk Management Association, I think. They have, I think, maybe 10 or 15 counties and maybe 30 or 40 cities. Ralph Ohm and Bert Newell are the lawyers that do that
Bert
work.
Newell? Okay. So the plaintiffs would be the actual cities and counties?
The actual cities
not
and
the-
counties.
Not the association?
Not the risk management pools, that's correct. You're the actual aggrieved party. I actually looked at whether it would be easier if we could just do it on your behalf,
Yeah.
and I didn't think we could. I found some case law that was bothersome and some ethical prohibitions.
And are there going to be cities and counties from other states involved in this same lawsuit?
The answer to that is yes, but not with the group of lawyers that's one of the reasons why, in the process of vetting the lawyers that I have, I can't tell you that they're going to be exclusively Arkansas, because they've already got an Indian tribe and a couple of other clients, but their intent is to remain totally focused in Arkansas. It's an Alabama law firm, but they have very deep
Where would they
ties.
file the lawsuit?
Well, they will file initially with the MDL in St. Louis, and then original jurisdiction complaints in federal court in Arkansas, and then probably a state cause of action as well.
And what's the municipal league's involvement?
Well, because you're in the defense program, which is a municipal league program, we think as part of your membership, that's my job, is to try to find these kinds of opportunities to try to correct this sort of problem that exists in cities. And this is the best vehicle. I don't normally recommend
And
litigation.
there's no expense to the city because it's a contingency arrangement?
Contingency arrangement, they will fund the costs. Like I say, I'm going to have some costs in the office because we're going to wind up putting boots on the
How will
ground.
your costs be funded?
All through the risk management pool. We'll get them back if we win in the litigation.
Mark, you started to make a point. The reason you believe litigation is the is
Yeah,
our only path.
I will tell you that I've never been a fan of solving problems with litigation. I do not know how you can bring what is routinely referred to as big pharma to the table. Nobody else has been able to do it, and you're talking about some really big cities and really big states, and they have not been able to get them to engage except when they've sued them. And I don't know how else to do it either. I don't like it, but that's, I think, our best bet.
So what we're putting this on the distributors more than the
Initially, we've got to do some additional discovery. These are all in their infancy, although the city of Chicago has the oldest one. It's about 2.5 years old, but they've been embroiled in a procedural mess, and they really haven't gotten a lot of substance done yet. So we've got to look at, what's pretty clear is the distributor aspect of it because of the violations of federal law. That's actually really abundantly clear. But what we don't know at this point is enough about what's happening between the manufacturer and the distributor to know for sure that the manufacturer would be a proper party. I expect they will be, but we don't know that right now, and I wouldn't want to promise that without having a better understanding of it.
So this is in response to violation of federal law that we assume is happening, as opposed to, I guess my only concern is to get into a lawsuit with distributors and manufacturers, because I know it's been difficult to even get some things that are needed for people who do need them. And I've seen that in my family where it almost took an act of Congress to get the proper
Care.
care.
Yeah, it's
And
terrible.
My only concern, if it's something where we know there's violation of federal law and we're going after that, I'm more open to doing that than just going over to talk to distributors.
This is more going after punitive damages for the cost to the cities and counties, is it not?
It would actually be compensatory damages. You've got actual real damages.
Real-
They will be able to tell you the number of overdose
That's
runs
why
that they made in the last year, 2 years, 3 years, and you'll see. I don't know this, but I can virtually guarantee what they're going to tell you is in a 5-year span, it's done nothing but go up like
The
that.
cities and counties can show their actual costs.
sir.
The municipal league can't, so that's why it has to be.
Exactly. Well, that's one of the reasons, but there were some other ethical concerns I had.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. If there are no further questions, I'll ask Denise to call the roll.
Jaycox?
Yes.
Culver?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Overton?
Yes.
Fulfer? Lawson?
Yes, ma'am.
Evans?
Yes, ma'am.
Reed?
Yes.
8-0.
Okay.
Thank you all very much, and I didn't mean to take as much time as I did, but this is very important. I think you've made a good decision for your city. We've got a long battle in front of us, but I think it's the right thing to do.
Thank you,
So,
Mark.
I'm always available if you need me. May I be excused, Mayor?
You may be excused.
Thank you very much.
May I? Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Pet the big white dog. All right. Item 8, Finance Committee Report and Recommendations, Chairman Jeff Watson. Jeff?
Well, Mike Overton ran that meeting, so I'll ask him if he doesn't mind.
Okay.
Okay, Mayor, the first item we have on the agenda is setting a special election for our bond program for 2012, and it was, the proposal is to schedule it for February 13th, 2018. We're in the taxpayers will have the opportunity to vote on 5 separate issues of the bonds, plus the retirement of the old bonds. They're talking, it amounts to $92,710,000 for street improvements, $21,300,000 for park and recreational improvements, $17,635,000 for fire department improvements, $42,580,000. These are maximum principal amounts for the criminal justice administration building, and $5,645,000 for the animal shelter improvements, and then the $44,765,000 for retiring of our 2013 bonds.
I'll read the title of the ordinance. An ordinance calling a special election in the city of Springdale, Arkansas on the questions of issuing bonds under Amendment Number 62 to the Constitution of the State of Arkansas for the purpose of refinancing and financing the cost of capital improvements, levying a 1% sales tax and use tax for the purpose of retiring such bonds and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto.
I'll move the ordinance pass.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion in 2 seconds. And we have, council, if there are any further questions, Bob Wright's here from Cruz and Associates, Kevin Fott from Stevens, and Shep Russell from the Friday Law Firm. So if you, Shep, do you have anything you need to add? And unless there are questions? Same with Bob, they're available for any of your questions, or we can, I just want to make sure there are no more questions or from the audience before we vote.
I don't have a question for them, but I want us to explain that this is not it's not a tax, it's a new tax.
Correct.
It's ongoing that we've already
We're
done.
not, we're not,
Basically, it'll be a almost 15-year extension of existing 1-cent sales tax. It's like 15.68 years maturity date approximately.
depending on,
14.68.
depending on our growth, right?
That's correct. And I just want to add one thing to that comment, because we brought that up in committee the other night. When we did the 2013 bond issue, which was a refinancing and saved the city a little bit over $12 million, the expected payoff of that versus the expected payoff potentially of the 2018 bonds is about 5 years difference. It's not, so the absolute worst is 15, but we really project about a 5-year difference with all of the projects you're talking about accomplishing. So that's a short amount of time.
That's a very important point, and one that we need to be able to communicate to our residents. Yeah, thank you, Bob. Any other questions?
Point being, that's the worst-case scenario we're looking at.
Absolutely.
15's the worst case scenario.
Yes, correct. 14.68, I think he said. Of course, these bond lawyers
Okay,
lie,
does
so you don't
anyone
know.
in the, I'm sorry, Mike, I'm sorry. Anyone in the audience need to address this before we vote? Okay, seeing none, no more questions of the council? Want to be sure I get them all. All right, Denise, roll call.
Culver,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Fulfer.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed.
Yes.
Jaycox.
Yes.
8-0.
All right, well, thank you very much. Shep, thanks for driving up here.
We heard,
Great job, and so did Bob and Kevin, for us not to have more questions than we've had. The council has done a tremendous job with a lot on their plate between this and next year's budget that we'll present here in a moment.
Did you
And,
mention, Mayor?
yes.
That we spent hours
Right.
with these good people asking the questions in committee, which is why there are no questions here tonight.
Right, and we will have a few months now before the election to answer further questions and to
that's
make sure everyone.
probably not
understands.
necessarily true, but we didn't want to hear them drone on for hours telling us more nonsense.
I might add, I want to thank Bob and Kevin for the booklet they put. That made it really, that was really
Very
good
good
information to have. And I know when we sat there and look at that, it's easy to talk about, but when we saw it and could go through it and go back over it, it was very beneficial.
Bob, you may want to hand out that newest one before you leave. Basically, what's changed is that since last week, we've had about $5 million added to the streets portion, so.
Yeah, just the one thing that you will see.
And that was reflected in our recap of the ordinance tonight.
Yeah,
That's correct.
right.
Yeah, just the one thing you'll notice is that Wyman sends us every month the monthly tax collections, and from October to November, the trailing 12-month collections is up 160,000. And that little bit of movement right there added $5 or $6 million to your street project. So you'll see that reflected in there, and just a couple of the other projects that we've handled over the years with that.
Right. And you, just kind of an aside, Wyman, I think he put it in your Dropbox, the monthly sales tax receipts, and we were up 15% for the month of September. So that's pretty strong, pretty strong. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on. Thank you guys again.
Thank y'all very much.
Travel safely.
Hey, Mike, back to you.
Next, we have a resolution approving the budget for Springdale, Arkansas for the year 2018. This was passed out of committee for recommendation for approval.
Move the resolution pass.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and second. Any further discussion or comments before we vote? Anyone in the audience? Okay, Denise?
Watson,
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Fulfer.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed.
Yes.
Jaycox.
Yes.
Culver.
Yes.
8-0.
All right, thank you.
The next item we have, Mayor, near and dear to your heart, is an ordinance setting the salaries of elected officials and planning commission members of Springdale, Arkansas, and repealing ordinance number 5119, which was the old salary schedule. Again, this was passed out of committee for recommendation for approval.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Any further comments or questions? Anyone? All right, Denise?
Overton.
Yes.
Fulfer.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed.
Yes.
Jaycox.
Yes.
Culver.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Second.
Fulfer.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed.
Yes.
Jaycox.
Yes.
Culver.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Both the ordinance emergency clause carry 8-0.
Thank you. Before moving to item 9, I just want to make note that whatever medication Mike Overton's on, I hope they keep him on it.
Just enamored by your influence, Mayor.
Thank you. Item 9, Planning Commission. Yeah. Patsy, Planning Commission report and recommendations.
I think we're kind of all in shock yet, so give me a minute to kind of get our act together. The first item on the agenda is a final plat of the mansion at the Mills Creek Addition subdivision up here on Mill Street, and you'll see that. The Planning Commission reviewed this final plat and recommends approval. An ordinance accepting the final plat of the mansion at Mill Creek Addition subdivision to the city of Springdale, Arkansas, and declaring an emergency. And basically what this does is give us an opportunity to make sure we get all the easements dedicated and all those kind of things that we need, because this is a PUD and it didn't change any of that. It just gives us an opportunity to address all those other issues to make it clear.
Motion to pass. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Anyone need to speak to this ordinance? Any more questions from the council? All right, Denise?
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed.
Yes.
Jaycox.
Yes.
Culver.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Fulfer.
Yes.
First clause be adopted.
Second.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed. Jaycox.
Yes.
Culver.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Fulfer.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Both the ordinance emergency clause carry 8-0.
The next item on the agenda is a rezoning request by the C.L. George and Sons Limited Partnership for 9 acres located across the driveway that goes into Arkansas Children's Hospital. They're requesting to rezone the property from A1 to C2. Planning Commission recommends approval of the rezoning request. The title of the ordinance reads, an ordinance amending ordinance number 3307, the same being the zoning ordinance of the city of Springdale, Arkansas, the plat pertaining thereto, by rezoning certain lands from agricultural district A1 to general commercial district C2 and declaring an emergency. And we do have a large-scale development plan for this one that they're ready to move forward with. That's why we need the emergency clause.
Move the ordinance pass. Second.
Okay, good. Any further comments? We have a motion and a second. Anyone in the room? Okay, Denise?
Reed.
Yes.
Jaycox.
Yes.
Culver.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Fulfer.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am. Move the emergency clause pass.
Jaycox.
Yes.
Culver.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Fulfer. Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed.
Yes.
Both the ordinance emergency clause carry 8-0.
Did we skip one?
There we go.
The next one is to rezone property located at 3700 Johnson Road. The request is to rezone the property from A1 to SF2, owned by Ron and Linda Skelton. Planning Commission reviewed this request and recommends approval of it. The title of the ordinance reads, an ordinance amending ordinance number 3307, the same being the zoning ordinance of the city of Springdale, Arkansas, the plat pertaining thereto, by rezoning certain lands from agricultural district A1 to low, medium density, single-family residential district SF2 and declaring an emergency.
We don't have a picture of that.
Well,
I know where it is,
Yeah,
but
there's,
It's in our,
it's in
It's
your
in there,
packet, but
okay.
I must have missed it when I was putting them on there.
good, that's fine.
page 27.
I'm sorry, Rick, I think you were.
I move the ordinance pass. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? Anyone? Okay, Denise?
Culver.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Wolfer. Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed.
Yes.
Jaycox.
Yes.
I'll be adopted.
Second.
Watson.
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Wolfer. Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed.
Yes.
Jaycox.
Yes.
Culver.
Yes.
Both the ordinance and emergency clause carry 8-0.
The next item is a request for a use unit 34 model home temporary marketing office for Rosh Coleman. This one is located at 3493 Bueno Avenue. They're requesting to continue this model home that has been in operation for quite some time without a conditional use being approved for a period not to exceed 6 months. They have 2 additional lots that they haven't sold, and they'd like to have it for 6 months. The Planning Commission recommends approval of the conditional use, and in the resolution is the standard conditions that are set for model homes and how they can operate. I can read them all if you want me to out loud, or you can read them on the on the resolution, whichever way you want to do it.
We'll just read them on the resolution. Don't you think that's okay, gentlemen?
It's just a reprint of what is in the ordinance.
Exactly.
All that does is give us to make sure it's in the resolution if
Exactly.
there's some question sometime. The title of the resolution reads, "A resolution approving a conditional use at 3493 Wayne Avenue as set forth in ordinance number 4030."
Resolution pass.
So, how long did you say it was going to be for?
6 months. And we'll fill that
Where is the
in.
6 months?
We'll
Yeah.
put that in there
I
on
was
or
saying,
before
'cause
the
it
terminus
says
date.
1 year.
Well, that's what its standard is for 1 year. Planning Commission's recommendation is we do it for 6 months, and we'll make that, if you agree to that, we'll make the terminus date in 6 months.
Because they've been operating for some time without a conditional use.
Yes, they have.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Denise?
Overton.
Yes.
Wolfer.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed.
Yes.
Jaycox.
Yes.
Culver.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Carries 8-0.
And the next one is the same type of conditional use for a use unit 34 model home temporary marketing office. This is in Tyson Heights, which is a brand-new subdivision. It's at 2544 Seabright Avenue. They're requesting this same model home, but the actual time period would not start until the model home has been built and they receive a certificate of occupancy. So the date will start there. It will be good for 1 year, or it goes on to say after 3 months if they sold all the lots.
3 months from what? What was the 3 months?
Or after 3 months following the sale of all the lots owned or being marketed by the applicant
So
in
in
the
other words,
subdivision.
that they sold all the lots before
Right.
the year was up.
Right, it could be less than that, and they can extend it one time period, and then they have to come back to extend their conditional use if it's more than one time. But it would not go in effect until the house is actually constructed and they get their CFO for it.
So did we just not know that they were operating that other model home and they just realized they were supposed to, and so they're doing it on this one, or what happened on
They
that?
just got caught.
I think they were brought to the knowledge they needed to come and get one by community engagement, yeah.
I mean, we really hadn't done a lot of these that I remember anyway, and. so
Well,
maybe
I
it's not
think the
that
last one
common.
we did for, we've done a few of them, and they kind of come and go. Not every subdivision wants to put one in, but if, we have the provision if they want to do that, yeah. And we may see more as housing development continues. I think we're
It just
going to be
helps-
out of lots
It
before
helps them
long.
market them faster,
True.
so that's
Right.
better for the city.
And they set it up in the garage.
So, I wasn't at the planning meeting where this was discussed, but generally, what kind of conditions do we put on this conditional?
It's the same conditions that you see in there.
Well,
That-
just
What kind of
briefly,
signs, the driveways and the sidewalks have to be constructed. They have to have a current business license. They have to operate between the hours of 9 and 6. It's temporary for 1 year unless, what we just talked about, the size of the yard sign they can have, and just standard things, but we put it in here so everybody sees it one more time.
Are these model homes usually torn down or sold?
No, they just take what's in the garage out. They put doors in there
they
and
sell
put, instead of putting a garage door in there, they put a standard man door, and then they take that out, put the garage door back, take any temporary walls they put inside in, and I'm sure they take whatever furniture they've got in there staged and that kind of stuff when they sell it. Yeah, that's normally what happens. And it's a marketing office and a model home. It's not a construction office. So we have had some discussions about that lately, too.
I'll move the resolution pass.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Anyone? Okay. Denise?
Wolfer,
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed,
Yes.
Jaycox.
Yes.
Culver,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Carries 8-0.
The next request is for a conditional use at 4185 Treadco Drive. This is for a use unit 37, a self-supporting tower antenna structure monopole in a C2 district. Planning Commission has reviewed this. It meets all the setback requirements. It meets all of the fall zone requirements, the landscaping, the screening. And again, in the resolution, we listed all those things again, so we have it down one more time. In case there is an issue with it, Planning Commission recommends approval of this conditional use. The title of the resolution reads, "A resolution approving a conditional use at 4185 Treadco Drive is set forth in ordinance number 4030."
Resolution pass.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more questions or comments? Anyone in the audience need to speak to this? Okay.
Lawson,
ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed,
Yes.
Jaycox.
Yes.
Culver,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Wolfer.
Yes.
Carries 8-0.
The next item is a resolution approving a waiver of street improvements, drainage, curbs, gutters, and sidewalks that's set forth in ordinance number 3725-2, and it's Dharma Temple is what we call it because it's, I don't even know how to get close to that, in connection with large-scale development L1724. They requested a waiver. The Planning Commission had quite a bit of discussion about maybe payment in lieu of improvements rather than a total waiver of that, so that the options would be either option 1 or option 3.
There aren't any other sidewalks around that area right now, are there?
No, there's not. No. But it's not just sidewalks. It would be widening the street, curb gutter, sidewalk, and the drainage, the width of this lot, as well as a street light. And they're asking for all of that to either be waived or be allowed to do payment in lieu of improvements.
Could they do a bond of assurance instead of payment in lieu of?
They could do, if you allow it to do a bill of assurance, we could do that.
Oh, I see
Yeah.
bond,
Mhm.
yes.
It becomes a lien on the property. I don't know that they will want to have a lien on their property as much as they may want to do a bond.
So they're not wanting to make street improvements, basically, is what it is?
That's correct. They don't want to do any street improvements at all.
Everybody else has to.
Well,
Yes, sir, they do.
a lot of times we've waived it for churches, though.
Well, I can tell you there's a church over on 56th Street that didn't get a waiver. They did their street improvements, they did the curb and gutter, they did the sidewalk. I mean, we haven't done it for all of them.
Yeah, it's true.
There's a
Street
couple,
is on.
2 or 3 of them we can, yeah. I'm sorry?
On 40th?
No, the one I'm talking about is on, this one is on 48th Street.
It's on
that
48th.
extension. And it's a very narrow street.
What kind of street improvements would they have to make?
Curb, gutter, sidewalks, drainage improvements for the width of their piece of property.
It's on the section north of Walmart.
Right, and it's,
Between Walmart and Wagon Wheel.
it's a little bit further north than that. It's not right
Right.
at the corner. It's several properties
Yeah.
down before you get to it.
Yeah.
Yes. And I don't know that we want them to do the improvements now. When you widen out a little section like that, sometimes it's more dangerous than if we just took either a payment in lieu of or a bill of assurance, because it just creates that road, it would be tough to do this,
Right.
that little piece. Yeah.
I move for option 3.
That's payment in lieu of, Mike?
I will
Okay.
second that.
Okay. We've got a motion to approve the resolution with option 3.
Which is payment in lieu of the improvements.
We're gonna, did we get we did get a second.
Yes.
Does anyone need to speak to this? Do we have a representative from this property?
Yeah. We don't.
No. Okay. All right.
I can tell you, we worked really hard with this group trying to get this together.
Okay.
It's kind of been a struggle all the way through.
Any other comments or questions from the council? All right, Denise?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Jaycox.
Yes.
Culver,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Fulfer.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Carries 8-0.
And the last one is a waiver request for street improvements, drainage, curbs, gutters, and sidewalks, and this is really just a sidewalk variance as set forth in ordinance number 3725 to Marty and Melanie Thesey in connection with 8727 East Wagon Wheel Road, a single-family dwelling. Planning Commission recommends to grant the waiver. There aren't any sidewalks in that area, and you don't very often hear me say that I support a waiver of it, but the area to be built in out there and what's going to happen to Wagon Wheel in the future is so unknown. I think this is one of the ones that we need to grant a waiver on.
There's really nowhere to put a sidewalk.
There's
right
really
now.
not, until we figure out what to do with the
Right.
with the
Move this
road, there's really
resolution
not.
pass with option 1.
Second.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Anyone in the audience? All right, Denise?
Yes.
Jaycox.
Yes.
Culver.
Yes.
Watson.
Impressed.
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Fulfer.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Carries 8-0.
All right, thank you, Patsy. Item 10, Health, Sanitation, and Property Maintenance Committee report and recommendations. Chairman Jim Reed. Jim?
We had our meeting a week ago Monday, and this ordinance is for raising and demolition of a house over on Powell Street. I'm going to turn it over to Tom and let him talk to us about it.
Good evening, council. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, Tom.
This is the one that we spoke about last week. For Rick, I did get some pictures and put them on the screen. That way you can see it actually from outside. These are today's pictures. This property is owned by a woman who has passed, and there is no heirs that have come forward. I've had it boarded up 2 or 3 times, and I've actually personally locked it up myself once. The fire department's even been over there to take care of this garage at the bequest of the school across the street because kids were able to get in there, and they've secured up the garage door on it once. I know Misha's been mowing
Ernest,
it.
did you tell us that somebody did show up? You did hear from somebody?
Someone has contacted our office.
They don't care to do anything with
Right.
it.
They have no interest in rehabilitating.
I'm going to go ahead and read this ordinance. It's an ordinance ordering and raising, demolition, and removal of certain residential structure within the city of Springdale, Arkansas, located at 902 Powell Street, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. Item.
Move the ordinance pass.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions for Tom?
I guess I do for Ernest, probably.
Okay.
So there's no heirs, is there somebody paying taxes on it?
I have no idea. And the person who's contacted Ernest, I don't know who that is, so I don't know if.
It's Ronnie Macon, the one that signed for the letter.
Okay. Because I actually had a gentleman in my office today who would like to buy that property, but I don't know who you would contact to buy it from.
We don't happen to have anyone here on this one, do we?
But we tear it down, then we just place a lien on it. And we
Correct.
really don't do anything until it sells.
Correct.
That's right.
And if it goes back to the state for non-payment of taxes, Ernest, are we just,
The lien will still
It's
be
still-
there.
it still
Runs
stands?
with the land.
Tom, I know it was a concern of the school that they want us to do something, and I had talked to them just like you had, and it was my understanding from the committee meeting, if we pass this tonight, it would be about 30 days,
Yeah, because legally, I think that we
Yeah, we
have
have to
to
wait.
give them the
Wait
30
30
days.
but we would be able to get on that pretty quick.
With an emergency clause.
Pass the emergency clause, you'd be able to after 30
Is it
days.
across the street from the school?
It's across the street, and I know, Jeff, you weren't at the
Close,
meeting. I talked to some of the school representatives, just like Tom has, and it's a big concern over there for them. They've had a lot of issues, and I think even with Ernest, saying tonight that they're not interested in doing anything, I think just for kids' safety and everything else, it's just in our best interest to do away with
Could bring
this.
back a separate ordinance to put the lien after the demolition.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked with Matt from the fire department. What's Matt's last name? Bagley. I mean, he couldn't be here, but I'm sure he's got Kevin up to speed on everything. I mean, they would love for it to be down tomorrow, but I expressed to him the same way that Ernest did, that we have to give him the 30 days. Now, and even having said that, just so it's all for public, obviously in 30 days, we're going to be at the New Year, at Christmas, so it could be 40 days before I can get it down.
So kind of refresh our memory on how that process works after the 30 days.
After the 30 days, I take as many bids as I can, but at least 3 bids, and it goes to the lowest bidder. And then they'll.
You don't have to come back to us for any reason.
Only to get the lien. Yeah, for the lien.
But not to approve
Correct. You know, Mr. Wyman Morgan, he looks at the bids and he accepts the bid, you know.
Okay. We got a motion and a second, didn't we? And no one's here to speak, so I'll ask for the vote.
Jaycox?
Yes.
Culver?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Overton?
Yes.
Fulfer?
Yes.
Lawson?
Yes, ma'am.
Evans? Reed?
Yes, move the emergency clause pass.
Second.
Culver? Watson?
Yes.
Yes.
Overton?
Yes.
Fulfer?
Yes.
Lawson?
Yes, ma'am.
Evans?
Yes, ma'am.
Reed?
Yes.
Jaycox?
Yes.
Can we pass it one more time and just tear it down?
I appreciate your support on that one, and just for educational, right to the north of that property was 830, and those people complied on their own and have taken it down, and it's not a park, but it's cleaned up, and it's no longer a problem for any kids to be involved there, so that one's completely gone, so. All right,
Thanks, Tom.
The next one is a resolution authorizing the grant of water sewer easement to the Springdale Water and Sewer Commission across property owned by the city of Springdale, Arkansas, parcel number 815-27807-000, Springdale, Washington County. The committee recommended approval.
Resolution passed.
Motion and a second. Any further comment or questions? Okay, Denise?
Overton?
Where is this?
Behind, I believe this is the one behind McDonald's where they're doing their remodeling.
Is it the Water and Sewer Commission needs to move it because of the water line that we had under the lake, or is it why?
No, it's something, and Mike, I don't know if you have any information on this or not. There, something that McDonald's is doing in their remodel requires them to move a hydrant or something, and there's some, but you'll see, it's between the park restroom and the street behind McDonald's.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's in
all we're
that
doing
area.
is, it's already city park land, we're just giving the Water and Sewer Commission an easement to put their water line.
So the contractor can do what they need to do to
So they'll be
service the
moving
new-
it from the private property over. Okay.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, any other questions? All right, Denise?
Actually, Watson, you're first.
Yes.
Overton?
Yes.
Fulfer?
Yes.
Lawson?
Yes, ma'am.
Evans?
Yes, ma'am.
Reed?
Yes.
Jaycox?
Yes.
Culver?
Yes.
Carries 8-0.
All right, thank you. Item 11, I'll turn over to our city attorney, Ernest Cate.
This is an ordinance authorizing the city clerk to file a cleanup lien for the removal of overgrown brush and debris on property located within the city of Springdale, Washington County, Arkansas, property located at 2006 Bluebird Drive.
Motion ordinance pass.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approving the ordinance. Is there anyone in the audience in the room that needs to speak to this property? Okay, any other questions, council? All right, Denise?
Overton?
Yes.
Fulfer?
Yes.
Lawson?
Yes, ma'am.
Evans?
Yes, ma'am.
Reed?
Yes.
Jaycox?
Yes.
Culver?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Move the emergency clause pass.
Second.
Fulfer?
Yes.
Lawson?
Yes, ma'am.
Evans?
Yes, ma'am.
Reed?
Yes.
Jaycox?
Yes.
Culver?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Overton?
Yes.
Both the ordinance emergency clause carry 8-0.
Okay, thank you. Item 12,
So moved.
presenting a motion to cancel, I'll read it, to cancel City Council Committee meeting of December 18th and City Council meeting of December 26th. We've got a motion
Second.
and a second. All right, roll call, please.
Lawson?
Yes, ma'am.
Evans?
Yes, ma'am.
Reed?
Yes.
Jaycox?
Yes.
Culver?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Overton?
Yes.
Fulfer?
Yes.
Carries 8-0.
Thank you. Any comments from our department heads? Any council?
I wanted to say real quick, since Rick didn't do it, that the Christmas parade Saturday was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was a lot of floats, a lot of people showed up. It was just really,
Most people I've ever seen downtown. And it was, of course, the weather cooperated. The parade, Rick, was great.
Thank you.
The lighting of the tree, everything the DSA and everyone that was involved did was, I want to thank Parks and Rec and our Public Works also for all their help. Of course, our police and fire department are involved in that as well. So everybody did a great job. I've heard numerous comments about how well everything was turned out. Anything from City Attorney?
Actually, I do.
Oh,
You know, a lot of us.
trying to stretch it to 7 o'clock. That was
lot
your
of-
call.
A lot of us are fortunate in life to be blessed with a long, healthy life, and that includes someone sitting at this table tonight who's turning a half a century plus a decade old today. And so that's 60 years old, so I just wanted to wish Mr. Evans a happy 60th birthday today. And I promised I wouldn't embarrass him, but I did want to acknowledge the fact that he's hit a milestone, so congratulations.
Happy birthday, Rick. Don't look a day over 65. Great. I don't have anything. Have a motion to adjourn?
Could we just wish everybody a very Merry Christmas? We're not going to be together again until probably after, are we?
Yeah, we have another
Oh,
meeting.
I'm sorry, I was just, I
We do have
lost track
another
of the
meeting.
date.
Bring the
See,
cookies.
Hold that thought.
Bring the cookies.
You are the ones that keep scheduling things on holidays because you don't have to cook, so I forgot.
Thank you. We're adjourned.